Sure. Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Akshay, and I live in Delhi. So I've always been a space enthusiast ever since I was a child. But Delhi is very polluted, and shifting to UPS Dehradun gave me a very good chance to observe the night sky and even the the events happening in the space. So over the time, I developed some hobbies of clicking the night sky, and one day I came across the Hubble Deep Field theory. So the Hubble Deep Field theory was very interesting to look at, but I couldn't really understand anything. So I just researched more about it. I searched more about it, and I found that the white spots inside the images, the blue spots are actually the brightest areas, and the red spots are actually the coldest of all the visible things. And everything is this is the actually the expanding universe that we have seen in the visible spectrum. So in the space, there's a lot of information which is hidden in the form of electromagnetic waves. So it is very important to know what is the electromagnetic spectrum and the various radiated elementary particles, which travel through the medium of space or the medium of vacuum in space. So it's let's start off with it. First, the electromagnetic spectrum. So as we can see, we have a gamma rays, X rays, ultraviolet, etc. And light spectrum is just one of the seven parts that we see, and it is not even the whole thing. So right now, the image that we referred to was taken by Hubble telescope, which operates under the visible area. So now we have expanded our reach to the James Webb Telescope, Spitzer Telescope, and the Fermi Gamma Ray Space Telescope, which operate in the space to acquire these special electromagnetic waves to get information emitted from the stars. So these electromagnetic waves over the time have been harnessed and optimized. For example, we can see the solar panels being built on Earth, which are in the end transferring power. And over the time, we could take it to space, and we have so many missions on in which the electronics are actually based on solar panels and the energy converted in it. Let's look at the Webb telescope. So you can see this is an infrared telescope. So the instruments are made up of cameras, spectrographs, and coronagraphs. So these instruments are nothing very complicated, very simple things just taken to outer space for a very clear examination of all the particles, the electromagnetic waves propagating through space. For example, in coronagraphs, the concept of micro shutter is used. So what it basically does is it blocks out the incoming light from the stars, and we can, kind of understand how the colors are breaking in from the particles which are comparatively closer to the telescope. Now we can actually make out the difference between the visible spectrum and the same image taken by the infrared spectrum of a nebula. See, both the images are very pretty, but the right one actually indicates the origin of stars and planets, or probably the formation of new solar systems, which is a very good thing to clear our curiosity of how we come, where we come from, and how we have evolved through the centuries or eons. So let's step inside the deep space. So we have sent two of our satellites, the Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, slingshot through the Jupiter into the deep space. So deep space is nothing. It's just a place where it's a zone in space where the gravitation of the sun is no longer in effect, and the heat from the sun kind of stops affecting the EM waves weaken a bit. It's not as hot as it is on Earth. So let's go to the electromagnetic waves in deep space. But before that, let's ponder upon a movie. So this is a scene from Iron Man 2 where Tony Stark is using a particle accelerator to create an element called vibranium, which actually replaces palladium. So, according to them, vibranium did not exist, but in the uh, upcoming movies, it actually existed in natural form. So we can see how accelerating particles can create new elements, which in the end leads to scientific advancements and technologies, and more understanding of how the world works. Similarly, we have created a hadron collider, which accelerates the particles and collides them at a very high speed, which in the end breaks them down into further particles like quarks, antiquarks, and which can further be broken down to into pions, which are pions, which are actually the lightest form of hadrons. And these are actually observed in supernovas, for example. When there's a supernova, the pions decay, which ultimately lead to the formation of gamma rays. When the hadron collider broke down the particles, we could see different form of neutrinos. And due to the observation from the space telescope, we already knew how gamma rays look like. We could break down neutrinos, and recently we just had a breakthrough of gravitational waves, where we observed or measured a certain waveform. This happened last year. And currently, we don't have a lot of information about cosmic rays, because by the time they reach Earth, or wherever we have reached, it's not it's hindered. It's corrupted with some noise in it. So we can't really measure. That's why it's important to go into the deep space in order to understand how the elementary particles work and to actually harness them. So this is the breakdown of neutrinos. It has been broken down into quarks, leptons, antiquarks, antileptons, and bosons, which are very elementary particles. The G represents gluons, etc. Let's move on to the electromagnetic waves in deep space, something more about this. So this is the image is basically a supernova, which is creating a shock wave. Now the P stands for the cosmic rays, with about which we don't know well about. And this the bursting of supernova creates pions, which when decay create gamma rays. Now, through the image, you can see these gamma rays don't really enter the atmosphere of Earth, but they do travel and they go far ahead. Now we can also see the mu sign, which stands for the neutrinos. The neutrinos only respond to the weak gravitational forces, but they don't really, have any charge or mass. They can pass through anything throughout the ether of space. So what I really suggest is that we create a hypothetical particle accelerator. So this is a ship taken from Star Trek. It looks really good, and the center part, kind of could be a particle accelerator, and the ship could be charged by the acceleration of particles and colliding it. So it's a very interesting way of harnessing it. So I believe that this particle accelerator should be launched in the deep space, somewhere between the path of the two voyagers, so that they can constantly transmit messages and see what's really happening out there, so they can cover more areas and make most out of the investments we put in, including our thought processes. So we see that observation and study of elementary particles will help us unlock the mysteries of the quantum universe. And I believe so because we started off with Colossus, which helped us solve the Enigma code, and now we have reached to the stage of quantum computing, which is a very big thing and a big jump for humanity. And one day, who knows, we might even be traveling through space and time at a very large speed. And that's all. This was done with the help of my professor Sudhir Kumar Chaturvedi, and that's it. Thank you.